everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Influencer Impact. Super excited for this special edition. We're having what we call a crossover here at People First. We're joined by our fellow podcasters from the podcast Oops, I'm an Influencer.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm Val, so excited to be on. I am our VP of Influencer, so I work across all of our campaigns and take a look at our influencer strategy. I'm joined by Giovanni.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Giovanni, and I am the social media manager here at People First. We had an amazing talk and episode with Gabriella Zutrau.
Yeah, Gabriella Zutrau is a digital strategy advisor and an influencer. She advises across all progressive, nonprofit, elected official, PAC campaigns. The list is just endless from all of her expertise. She's really well-versed in the social media organic space and has a background in community organizing. So we dove into her experience both as a professional and also as an influencer herself to kind of gain some insights into what the space is going to look like this election cycle. And with that, let's jump in. Welcome to the latest episode of Influencer Impact. It's a super special episode because we got a little crossover going on.
Yeah, we do. Well, first of all, what's yours? We got Influencer Impact, and then also we have Oops, I'm an Influencer, which is the community side for People First, and I'm joined with...
I'm Val Cheney. I lead our influencer program at People First, and we have Nicole, who leads our brand and strategy. And we're also joined by Gabi, who is here today to tell us a little... Did I get that right?
Yes! You slayed it. You really slayed that one.
You're like giving her eyes. This is honestly really exciting.
Yes, we're here to talk about her upcoming project, talk a little bit about her experience working with brands, other creators. So we're ready to jump right into it.
Do you want to give us a little bit about you and what brought you into the space, just in general?
Sure. My name is Gabriella Zutrau. I am a digital strategy advisor to campaigns and organizations like Move On and the Mom Donnie campaign, where I recently built out their social media chatbot infrastructure to bring people from social media and into the streets, voting, volunteering, phone banking. That is some of what I do. My expertise is mostly in organic social media strategy, but I also have a background in community organizing, so I always bring that lens to the digital work. And in a very, very different lane, I am also a content creator in the pet niche. My dog is very famous, Edna the Runt, and yeah, we reach millions of people every month, do lots of brand partnerships, and I use her pages as a lab where I experiment with new tools and tactics before I try them with my clients. So that's why she's in my professional bio.
Well, which is also what makes you like a perfect guest for this little crossover because, you know, generally in Influencer Impact, we're talking to, you know, strategists and people who are working in the field, but also on the Oops, I'm an Influencer, we're mostly talking with other influencers, understanding how they're working in the space and
Yeah, like how they got into it and like if they have any like tips and tricks of like just how to go about brand deals and all that kind of stuff.
There's not enough information out there.
There's
for
really
influencers.
not. There's really not.
Influencers basically rule the world right now, and they are only just winging it on what they can figure out on their own.
So much guesswork.
Yeah.
And so when was it? When was that moment in time, or what video was it that blew up for you and you're like stumbled into influence or making content and you said, I'm going to stick with this, I think?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there have been so many moments, but I would say like when I got my dog 4.5 years ago-ish, I was like at the time running social media accounts, probably like up to 20 social media accounts for elected officials and organizations. And I was like, that's it. This dog is not going on social media. This dog is just for me. Like, this is not going to become a new project for me. But then I got the dog, and she's like so crazy looking that like the people just demanded that she have social media. And I was like, all right, like fair enough. And I wasn't going to let my dog have bad social media. Like, that's what I do for a living. Yeah. So, you know, one thing led to another. she got like 1,000 followers in the first year, and then in the next year she got like 15,000 followers, and the next year she got like 60,000 followers, and like after just steady growth, and then like a couple viral videos here and there, like one of the ones that really blew up was one where I'm just like talking about her beautiful potato body. And
I saw that one.
That's one of her big viral videos that like really got her up there. But yeah, once we hit like around 10K, we had brands starting to reach out to us, and I was like, all right, like cool, like never met a hobby I didn't want to monetize, so let's go.
Mood.
And now like it's not most of the way that I make a living, but like she makes a bunch of money, and that's great. And like
she don't even know it.
No, she might know it. She gets pretty good like free vet services, and like all her food is paid for.
Listen, and that's amazing because vet services are so expensive. That's crazy.
I don't really consider myself a political content creator. I also have a different account, Extremely Online Friend, which is like my small digital consulting account that I started a few months ago, but like it's not something I like need to or do make money on. But like Edna's account is truly mostly like for dog lovers, and occasionally she gets political. And I know you've been like talking and writing a lot about how like there is this new data out there that says that like non-political content creators can actually be much more persuasive than people who talk about politics all the time, who tend to be like preaching to the choir and already have a politically engaged audience who goes one way or the other. So
I did see your graphic of Edna, and wasn't it like fascist suck or something like
her
that?
Abolish ICE.
Abolish ICE, yeah.
700 people unfollowed us over that, but then the next day we had like a super viral video.
Oh, so you just got it right back up.
Good riddance.
But that's the thing too, is that we see a lot of political organizations and groups are starting to try and dabble in the influencer space, and they're going straight to what they know and what they're comfortable with, which is influencers who are already consistently talking about the news and talking about what's going on, which is great and a valuable space, but it's not the only space if we want to persuade and be able to do all the stuff we saw some other people do in the last election cycle. We got to start branching out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm seeing a ton of people, a ton of like people with their analyses talking about how like what we need on the left and left of center is for content creators to post more. And I'm like, cool, like with what infrastructure and what support? Like a lot of content creators have full-time jobs that they can't afford to quit because there hasn't been like proper investment in our new media infrastructure on the left, the way that the right has been deeply investing in theirs for the last decade plus.
And then when they do invest, they're like, okay, hear me out. You're gonna say exactly X, Y, Z, and that is it. And you try to take it a little spin to your own personal, and they're like, I don't know if that's really hitting. And then we get trapped in a cycle of like review and edit and review. And then by that point, if you're a content creator, you're like, I don't know if this is worth it.
Yeah, there's like a real culture of risk aversion on the left and like in democratic politics where like we want to message test our shit to death and then expect everybody to follow those message tested scripts, which is nuts, because the right is just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks and learning every single second of every single day about what will resonate with their audience, and we are like being so rigid and like allergic to experimentation, and we are suffering the consequences for that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times you see an organization try to branch out for the first time, they want to partner with somebody new, they like everything about them, and they see that first draft come in, but it's almost like they want their introduction, so you've got like, tell us what they're, say in your video what your name is and where you're from. That's like, well, wait, everybody already knows that already, and it's like, then they get into the message and it's already watered down. And, that first 5 seconds is actually critical, but it becomes something that the creator would have never chosen themselves. So.
And there is an understanding among people who are hiring these creators that like, we want to hire you because you resonate with your audience and you know what resonates with your audience. And also, here's a couple lines you gotta work in. And it's like, okay, a couple lines, sure, but a full script is like, why aren't you just paying a model to do an ad for you or whatever?
Yeah, it defeats the whole purpose. And like you said too, we're already spending weeks, months reviewing everyone's profiles, seeing what their audience is like, what their engagement is. We don't know those people. You know who does? The influencer.
Yeah.
When did you was there anything specific that caused you to create your profile, aside from Edna's, or because I feel like you do post a little bit more politically on extremely close friends, extremely online friends, and I was looking at a lot of your stuff, which is hilarious, by the way, but I feel like it does kind of lean more on the political side. So was there anything specific that you were like, I just want to speak freely about this and not really face any type of consequences? Or
Yeah, well, I think what really inspired it was after Zoran won in the primary in June, I was just getting hundreds of LinkedIn messages a week. I was just getting so much outreach from people being like, I want you to give me the Zoran Mamdani treatment on my organic social. And I would be like, well, yes, let's have a meeting. But first of all, I don't do execution for anyone but my dog. Those were some other very talented people who did that. I just focused on chatbot strategy and some tweaks that we made to other pieces of the digital. Also, what's your budget? Because if it's $3,000, I think it's going to be, that's not going to work. Because a great organic social operation, like the one that the Mamdani campaign ran, can really be costing you tens of thousands of dollars a month. And creator engagement costs you another chunk of change. There were just so many people looking for advice and really, really wanting to get out ahead of their election date. Start planning now, which is awesome. Wonderful. And everybody needs to be planning 8 months in advance of when they need to be reaching their constituency to tell them to go vote for real. But I just noticed a real dearth of information out there about how to set up great organic social media. And, I've worked in this space for 10 years. I have been working within politics, specifically digital, specifically with progressive and socialists for a really long time. And there has always been this deep, deep underinvestment in organic social media. And that comes from a lot of places. One of the places it comes from is people being like, oh yes, social media management, an intern does that? Or social media management, I know whose job that is, somebody who's close to the internet. That means a college-aged woman, and we don't have to pay them anything because we live under patriarchy.
They just care about it so much. They'll do it for free.
Right, exactly. And everybody wants great organic social. Everybody wants to be reaching their audiences for free or for cheap, or not spending on ads if they can. And sometimes you'll hire someone in-house who's a young person who happens to be naturally really good at it, and you get really lucky occasionally. But that's when you get really lucky. And what a lot of people are having a tougher time, basically having a really much tougher time understanding is that organic social media is like any other area of expertise. If you work with experts, you can expect much better results. And you don't have to just pray that you get lucky and you're juniorized higher. And so I basically started having all these different conversations with people around the industry who were either just interested in picking my brain and interested in my work, or they wanted to work with me and did or didn't have the budget. I was also having lots of conversations with fellow content creators who I already had a big network of just from being in the space for a while. And noticing all these patterns of people wanting more information and not really being sure who to go to. And I was like, why do I not just have a platform? Why is my biggest platform my dog? That doesn't make sense. If I want to be giving out this information, if I want the left to have this information, not everybody can hire me, and I don't want to work for everybody also. I'm just one guy. So yeah, that's kind of what inspired me to kick it off. And I thought about starting a Substack, and then I was like, what? I I'm not gonna write long form articles once a week. Like, I know how to make shit posty little videos. Like, let me just do that. So that's why Instagram, yeah.
We're all about the Substack over here. But it is.
There's truth to that. If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. I get that.
I also just feel like that information is like no one ever knows that information.
Which information?
Like how you were just talking about how like, oh, why don't I just like start basically talking about this stuff and putting it online, because I feel like a lot of people are just kind of blind to it and they just don't know.
They don't know the systems that are working behind the scenes.
And what I'll see a lot of the time is like smaller campaigns not having the budget to hire somebody, which like they shouldn't be hiring like a social media manager as like one of their 3 staffers. And like I just wanted like those campaigns to be able to get great advice if they wanted it.
Yeah. I think also we could dive a little bit deeper into, you started this social media channel, you've been putting advice out there, everyone's bothering you, hitting you up, you're becoming this LinkedIn warrior, so to speak. What has that, I know you're kind of going into some new direction, coming up with some new ideas right now, what has that led you into as far as how we sort of start to address these challenges?
Yeah, well, so much, but like a conversation that I kept having with like every single different type of person in this space was that there was a fear of investing in organic social media because people didn't understand how to measure return on investment, and there was a real sense that like organic social is so hit or miss, like it's just like you post and then you pray and hope something works, and when in fact like I am also proving with this new channel I have that like there's a real formula here, there's a method to the madness. You can build organic social from zero in the year 2026. Like you can build an account and like really develop an audience and build trust over time. But the conversation I kept coming up against was like this question of why are we so afraid to invest, and how can we change that? How can we shift the culture to make sure that we are funding the projects that are actually going to make a difference? Because I also kept coming up against this fact, which is that in 2024, in the presidential race, we way outspent the GOP in ads, and we still lost. And in large part, or at least a big part of this, was that the GOP, the MAGA guys, were racking up impressions on organic social, while we were just like continuing to try to rent people's attention through ads, whereas like the MAGA guys were building trust over time with their audiences, showing up for many, many months in advance, like on these channels, on like podcasts, in like creator content. And we were really failing at that, and have been failing at that. And so one of the questions I kept coming up against was like, why are we investing so heavily in ads when it's very clear how important organic social media is? This is like after Zoran wins in the primary, and then again, like another big wave right after he wins in November. Finally, it felt like everybody agreed, like, oh yeah, organic social media is really important and can be really effective, but everyone who I was surrounded by was like, we all know that, we just don't expect to see a shift in the funding. Yeah. We don't necessarily think it's gonna change very much for 2026. And I was just like, why? Like, we all see how important this is. Like, we see what Zoran did, which was like, deeply invest and take seriously organic social media many, many, many months in advance, and just like spend on it and make sure that he was engaging his audience online. We saw it work in 2024 for the GOP. We saw it work in New York. Like, why aren't we investing more heavily here? Yeah.
These videos went crazy all over Twitter.
Yeah,
like every other tweet was just Zoran. It's like, yay!
It was so good too, because like it was clear community relationship videos. It wasn't just
like, this is me and this is my mission. It was very in the community, working with other creators in the community, those types of things. But that doesn't just come up naturally for everybody or for free for everybody, you know?
Yeah.
Those are real things that like take real investment and real time and energy that you have to put into them. With these challenges, what are some of the solutions that you're offering?
Well,
I should say brainstorming.
yeah,
Your services.
Because, you know, we could complain all day long.
Totally. We can complain all day long. Like during the campaign, basically what I offered to them was like ways to tweak their content, ways to tweak their strategy to make sure it was reaching even more people organically without putting money behind it. And also making sure that people were getting served up their content and then having a really low friction opportunity to get offline using social media chatbots. But like these are all like each of those tactics is them saying yes to experimentation and saying yes to investing in something new that they thought would work and then like having that really pay off. And so what I like basically the solution that a lot of people have been bringing up to me is that we need to stop way over indexing on paid media and start really investing in our organic. And it really came to this conversation like in the reverse way. It was like, how do we make sure we're investing in our organic social media, in creator engagement, like staffing up in-house, hiring the correct consultants who are actually experts at organic, and like making sure we are doing this correctly and investing in it long term, because organic social media is something that really requires year-round maintenance, because algorithm-based feeds do not respond well when you dump a bunch of money into creator engagement campaigns in October once a year. Like, that's not how algorithms work.
And you're still doing like the get ready with me video that was shot 4 months beforehand.
Right. Yeah, like like not only with owned assets, so if you're like a campaign and you're running your candidates you're running your candidates page, like you need time to build up algorithmic relevance with your target audience. So you need to be like posting consistently for a long time in advance. And if you are doing creator engagement, like it's not going to feel authentic to the creators' audiences, and it is not going to perform well if you save up all your budget the way that you would for a paid media play and just dump it all in at the end. You have to be consistently investing over time. And so then the question becomes, how? Like, where's the money come from? Okay, great. Like, raise the money. Where's the money come from? And I'm like, we have the money. We're spending it on tactics that don't work like they used to.
Yeah. I do think it's really interesting when we first spoke, and I think you said it a second ago too, was like, we're renting. Where paid media is a very important, critical tactic, not taking away from that. But if it's the only thing we're doing, then we're just there for that quick little moment, putting a lot of pressure on, and then we leave. But if you do organic, the stuff lives there, it stays in the feeds, people consistently keep talking about it. It becomes a part of regular conversation. Like a lot of the creators you see in the conservative space, they're always talking about like the cost of living is too high, and like I don't want to have to be paying for X, Y, and Z, and like these are, if we do organic, you're able to become embedded in the everyday conversation versus like there and gone.
And not only like will you like materialize on people's feeds and like have a better chance of winning in 2026, but with organic social media and creator engagement, your benefits are compounding over time, and you get to build relevance and you get to build your platform cycle after cycle after cycle. Whereas when you are renting people's attention with an ad, that disappears when the money runs out.
What you're saying too also like goes into the strategy of partnering with an agency. If you're really, working with an agency just to contract a bunch of people to make one post and then, campaign's over after that, doesn't really make a lot of sense either. I think watching performance, making sure that, you're measuring who's making a lot of impact, who's got a really good receptive community, and keep going. Yeah. A lot of people just stop. They stop. They stop on election day. They stop a week before. And that's it. The momentum that you had going just kind of came to an end.
Why do you think that it's taken us so long to understand this?
Well, I think people who do this for a living have understood it for a long time. I think that a part of why it hasn't shifted, why we haven't shifted to putting more of our money sooner into organic social media, is in part because spending on ads is incentivized by the industry for a lot of different reasons, but a big one is that paid ads consultants and firms are taking a 15% cut on your paid media buy. So they have every incentive to keep telling you this is the be-all, end-all of contacting your constituency, and absolutely no incentive to tell you to shift money elsewhere, because there's no passive extra scalable money to be made there. For the client, for the candidate, it's a brand play. It's a long-term brand play. You want to see how much money you can make off of having a great organic presence. Look at Zoran reaching his fundraising cap months in advance for both the primary and the general. It can be a real moneymaker, but the ads industry does not have any reason to tell you that.
Yeah, I will say that interestingly, we have been having a couple of ad agencies who have begun to really make that transition, and so far that's the majority of anyone I've seen make that investment in a way that is actually strategic. Whereas some other groups or organizations, they're still so much more hesitant. They don't understand, even at least if you're working at an ad agency, you're a little closer to what's happening on digital, so you get it and you know that it will ultimately potentially help your paid perform better if you put it in there as well. But even others, they've never even touched it before. They've barely engaged in the digital space themselves, so it can be really daunting to have to just jump in and spend all your pack money on something that you've never even thought about doing before,
Definitely. And I think there are other good reasons. Ads are really important and do work for certain things. Mm-hmm. We are just way over indexing on them. And for example, ads are great because at the end of a campaign, if you need to contact a lot of people at scale really quickly, dump the rest of your money in, but it's why are we planning for that when we know they don't work the way they used to? Yeah. Why are we planning to give so much money towards that?
Even just a little 5%, a little 10%.
Can you even imagine if we moved 10%, if we moved 20%, but even if we moved 10% of the money that we are spending on paid ads into organic social operations, including running your in-house operation and including doing creator engagement that is creator organizing where you don't necessarily pay them, and paid creator engagement where you do pay them for placement essentially. Imagine if we just took 10% of $1 billion and put that towards your organic. What a huge difference that would make for the share of voice you have online. Yeah. When we have failed at this so badly in comparison to what the right has been doing for the last decade, and now they have basically complete control of the internet. They have full narrative dominance on the internet. Their worldview is just sent out to so many people so easily, so quickly, and they have an easier job than the left has, no doubt.
They're not racked by truth or anything like that.
Exactly, it's easier for them. But we are just not keeping up, and it's really scary. And the consequences of us not clawing back the online territory that we have ceded to the far right are playing out right now. The consequences are we become irrelevant and we get more fascism, and that's a crazy consequence. Not to say that organic impressions are the answer to fascism, but to answer somebody's question a few minutes ago, like one of the solutions I am like trying to push on right now is that we take this money that we have been over investing in ads with and transfer 10% of it to our criminally underinvested and transfer it to our criminally underinvested in organic social media and new media infrastructure, including creator engagement. And a part of how I'm pushing for this is I have, after talking to so many people in the industry, in paid media, who are creators in organic social media, I've drafted this letter with a few people that sort of outlines this problem, that we are way over indexing on ads, that we are preventing ourselves from having narrative dominance on the internet, and that we need to change things by shifting funding into our organic social media operations. As funders, as campaign managers, as executive directors, all of the people who have decision-making power need to be making this decision to shift money from ads into what we know actually works and builds long-term, durable trust with our audiences and builds our owned assets online for years to come, instead of continuing to invest in renting people's attention that disappears when the money's gone.
Period.
Do you guys have anything? I feel like I keep yapping.
No, I think our last one was, how can people show support for people who agree that we've been over-indexing on paid media, they want to see a larger investment in organic social? How can somebody go about supporting this?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. Last week, I posted on LinkedIn just like this question of like, is anybody out there in paid media who can tell me if I'm wrong here, if I'm missing something? I need anybody to explain this to me like I'm 5. Why are we continuing to invest in paid media like this when it's clearly not working? And I was legit shocked to hear from a lot of paid media people in the comments. I got like dozens and dozens of comments, and some paid media people chimed in, and not a single one of them defended the practice. They were all like, you are so correct. Like, this is completely out of control. Like, let me hand over the budget to you right now. Not that they like had that power, but it was really resonating with people. And of course, like I think probably my LinkedIn network like is a self-selecting pool of people who understand the value of organic social media and creator engagement. But these were people I didn't fucking know who they were. Like, they were just like random paid media execs being like, totally, like there are some benefits to like doing ads, and like we're fucking up badly.
It sounds like it's a lot of top-down kind of practice and strategy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And like they also explained that like a big piece of the problem isn't paid media consultants being greedy, and like, you know, like some of that is the problem. Like there's an incentive-based fee structure here, and but that a lot of the problem is just like the people, the funders, the donors do not understand the new internet. They are in Obama's internet. They are stuck in these tactics that used to work, and they're not getting how it has changed and how the current attention economy works. So I think like I'm hoping to get lots of content creators and new media figures and like social media professionals to sign on to this letter and support, saying like, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's what we recommend right now for 2026 as our budgets are continuing to be locked in. Like, let's shift a certain percentage of your paid media budget into your organic social operations. And beyond like actually signing onto this letter as a supporter, I'm just hoping people have these conversations on their teams with their donors. Like if you're a donor advisor, start advising towards like organic social media and creator engagement investment, because it will pay dividends forever. And start advising against teams investing so much of their budget in paid media. But yeah, what do you guys think is going to help us solve this problem?
I mean, that's
I think you're off to a really good start.
Yeah, I think it's very refreshing for me to start seeing lately more. Obviously, we run a creator agency, so that's our entire mission and goal and everything. So we've been trying to have more of these conversations with people, and we've been doing this for like 6-7 years. Oops, and like been making that slow progress toward this is something you should at least test and pilot and put a little bit of money into, because obviously it's what we care so much about. But it's refreshing for me to even just see that these conversations are starting to happen online and at the conferences. And I felt that in 2025, those conversations were increasing a lot, but it's really now the time. We've all talked about it. We've all been starting to have the conversations. Now is the time to put the pressure on the funders, like you said, to understand that this is truly where we're at and where we need to be going forward. So I think we're doing our best. Everyone's out here hopefully trying and seeing this information and beginning to put that pressure on. Like, now is the time for the pressure to really be on.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of organizations and funders have gotten this message, have had this message for years and are making huge strides in investing in creator programs and testing and fellowships for creators so that they can quit their full-time jobs. I think that if we've got creators on our side, we know we have these creators on our side who are resonating so hardcore with their audiences, and we need to be investing in those people, because the alternative is showing another ad that puts money into the pockets of Meta and Sinclair. Why aren't we investing in our independent content creators, who are, by the way, the people that our constituencies trust? Nobody trusts our institutional media anymore, and they don't watch it. Or some people watch it. let me take it back. Some people still watch TV and news, but most people in this country are getting their news from social media, and they don't trust politicians, because for the most part they shouldn't. They don't trust institutional news because, wow, for the most part they really shouldn't. They trust their friends and their family, and these content creators they have years-long parasocial relationships with, because I have been inside of your house for 2 hours a day for the last 5 years, and you've been inside of my house for 2 hours a day for the past 5 years. And for better or for worse, creepy or not, 1984 or not, these are the people that our constituents trust right now, and we need to be giving them a megaphone and giving them the resources and bandwidth to create more content that helps put a megaphone on our worldview, because the right can just say anything and take it and run. They have so much content they can make, because it does not need to be attached to the reality of any situation. And so we need to be doing everything we can to make sure we are producing a ton of content for the world we want to see. And that's a world with universal health care and the ability to age with dignity in your community, and where people and kids aren't starving when they go to school and can actually get food there. All of these things are the worldview we need to be putting out there as possible, and it's gonna take money so that our creators can quit their jobs and continue resonating super hard with their communities.
And not to forget that the creators themselves are also our constituents.
Really good point.
And they're all very, you've said you're in group chats with so many other creators, they're all talking to each other. So not only are you reaching the constituents that are the followers, you're reaching the constituents who are in communication with each other and all actively trying to create that world vision. So it's a win-win, really, when you think of that.
Totally. But I mean, also, if you look at the top social media moments from this year by impressions, far and away, the moment on the internet that got the most organic impressions was Charlie Kirk's assassination. And like, it got more impressions than Zoran did, than like Trump's assassination attempt last year, than election night, because Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA like own the megaphone on the right, and we don't have anything that competes with that on the left, and that's scary.
Yeah. When all this stuff is happening over the last few weeks in the news, like, where's our megaphone?
Yeah.
You know, other than traditional news media outlets and things.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think this is a good moment for us to sort of wrap it up. I think we will also do a little outro so we can talk about like where people can go, where they can sign up, and da-da-da-da. But before we do that, do you want to let everybody know where they can follow you at, keep up with the information, bug you in the DMs?
Bug me in all the DMs. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, Gabriella Zutrau. Look me up. My website is zutrau.nyc. I'm there. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram for like tips and tricks and tactics, and also just like political shit posting and hot takes and like commentary on what it's like to be a dogfluencer, you can follow Extremely Online Friend. And if you want to follow my dog, who's way more famous, you can follow Edna the Runt across platforms.
We do really love dog fluencers that people first. Well, thank you so much for being here and for talking with us and for helping to really spearhead this movement that we deeply need right now.
Thanks for having me and for talking to me about it. I will never shut up about it. So.
That was such a great conversation. We're so happy to have been joined by Gabi. If you want to learn more about A Letter to the Internet People, you can check out the link in our bio to learn more and support a really, really exciting cause.